Hello, I'm Paul Peterson. Contrary to popular belief, older Americans are sexually active and view intimacy as an important part of life. Though many are burdened by problems that may be related to their overall health, seniors do not feel that their age impacts their desire or drive for a healthy sex life. And that's today's topic. So stay tuned for Aging in LA. A majority of older Americans are sexually active and view intimacy as an important part of life, despite a high rate of bothersome sexual problems, according to a new report in the New England Journal of Medicine. The study found that many older adults are sexually active, but about half of the men and women surveyed reported at least one sexual problem, and about a third reported at least two problems. The survey also found that senior sexual activity was closely tied to overall health, which was even more important than age. As health declined steadily after the early 70s, so did the prevalence of sexual activity, particularly for women. Today's guest is Dr. Yuri Pelez, an internationally recognized expert in sexual medicine. Dr. Pelez is based in Los Angeles and is a distinguished diplomat of the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology and is certified by the American College of Sexology. In 1983, Dr. Pelez established the Beverly Hills Center for Sexual Medicine, where he is the director and has treated literally thousands of patients. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
This promises to be a truly epic show. You know, this is a subject not so many years ago was not discussed. Now, how have you seen those changes in your practice as the years have gone by?
I would say that Viagra, which is about 10 years ago,
right, Viagra,
started the ball rolling because of the advertising on TV.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Although, if you remember, 10 years ago, the spokesman for Viagra was Bob Dole.
Yes, indeed.
And Bob Dole was over 70.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty soon, especially when the competition came in, they figured out that older folks don't have as much sex as younger folks, which makes sense. And I'll explain in a minute why. And therefore, they found a baseball player, half his age, who became the spokesman for Viagra about 3 years ago.
Right. Well, I know for many children of seniors, people like me, the sandwich generation, is almost something like, ew, grandma and grandpa are still having sex, but in fact, they are. Now, there can be difficulties and challenges for intimate relations. Is it more for men or for women?
Well, it can be for both sexes. It has a lot to do, as you said, with the health of the people.
Right.
And also the genes and how sexual they were to start with.
Right. Well, it's important, too, that we define intimacy, sexual moments, because, as you pointed out to me earlier, your sexual needs and, in fact, what feels good drastically changes as you get older. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, there's an expression, there's more to sexual activity than an erect penis and a vagina.
Yes,
if I may
indeed.
use those words.
Of course.
And
we're grown-ups here.
And many people have the need to be intimate.
Of course.
And the need grows as we get older. Why? Because our skin becomes less and less sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a certain regression don't want to say that older people become like babies, but the needs that they have increase with age.
I understand, and but speaking as an aging man, I think I kind of learned my lessons. There is time for romance and taking your time and establishing the right set and setting so that your partner is more comfortable.
And that is especially true and especially easy for us more mature men to be that way, because younger people are more impatient and they want to get to it, and they have very little consideration for the partner.
Right. Now, well, let's talk about the mechanics of this, the physiology, if you will. What is the effect of aging on our sexual drives?
Okay. If you will, our sexuality is like a barometer or thermometer to who we are. And as we get older, we do slow down. Also, let's take, for example, our needs for water. We don't drink as much because our centers are not as sensitive to thirst. And that is a big problem in general. And even on a program about sex, I like to mention this. It's very important to drink water properly. What do I mean by that? It's like when you go to a good restaurant, it takes about, not a McDonald's, it takes half an hour before the meal comes.
Yes.
You want to drink a glass of water and wait that half an hour without eating anything. No breads, no butters, no nothing. And that gives your body the time to get ready for the meal.
I see.
And once you eat, of course you want to eat slowly. You don't want to drink too much. You can have wine, maybe a glass of wine en mangeant, as the French do it, when you eat. And then, which is even more difficult, 2.5 hours later, you want to have another glass of water. And they talk about 3 times a day.
Okay.
And this is closely connected to stress. You realize that in our hustle bustle and in our lifestyle, it's very difficult to be so scheduled.
Yeah, well, we're all moving so fast, and then we have surprises thrown at us, our children and our aging parents. Well, what is the role of stress in
stress
intimacy?
takes away our testosterone.
Really?
Yeah, because we need the testosterone, to be sexual. It's also important in aggression. But we don't want to talk about aggression at this point, but we can say that the younger fellow, he's sexually aggressive, talk about the male, between 15 and 25. That's his peak.
Right.
And then as he gets older, into his 30s and 40s, if he has good genes and if he exercises, he'll be okay. But he slows down as he gets older. On the contrary, the female, if her hormones are okay and if she's in a reasonable good health, and if sex was good to her.
Right, and being fit is important here.
Of course.
Obviously.
She can be sexual at 20, at 30, at 40, at 50, at 60, 70 and beyond.
Wow.
The younger fellow, 30% of those people are fast, meaning they ejaculate within a few minutes.
Right.
There's a saying, by the time the average Joe is finished, the average Jane just gets started. Women may need sex for hours.
Wow.
And can go for hours. Now, if they're smart, they will never put this kind of a pressure on their husband, because then he will feel he has another job.
Right.
La, 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 la. Oh, my God. But a lot of the talk that men have in the locker room, the macho talk, is not, it doesn't fit reality.
Yeah, it wasn't true in the high school gym, and it's not true in the golf country club gym. I get that. But now, we're living in a world I used to jokingly say I was lucky to be a celebrity when you could understand the words to popular music and sex couldn't kill you. There are risks to sexual activity if you're not careful these days.
Well, there were always risks. There was syphilis before penicillin.
Of course, I didn't. Yes, that's
and of course, it was not AIDS. But I would say that proper protection is, of course, important. But talking about it too much is a turnoff because it scares people.
You know, people. Just before we got started, you said that this topic, sexuality, is actually like a 5,000-year-old topic. Could you explain that for our viewers?
Yeah, I've been to a World Congress of Sexology in India in the 80s. And they said everything was written already in the Kama Sutra. And there was a science then and now called Tantra Yoga.
Tantra Yoga.
And this is the only science that medicine carried over for several thousand years.
Wow.
And the difference between Tantra Yoga and regular sex, you know, usually they say good sex is down and dirty.
Yeah.
But in Tantra, first of all, the focus is on the woman, the pleasure of the woman. And there's no question that any good lover wants to take his partner's need into consideration, and it's very important that he talks to her about it.
No,
and the other part of it is that as people connect, instead of talking about down and dirty, in Tantra Yoga, it's all on the upper level.
I see.
Physical, emotional, and spiritual.
Well, what about those couples who have been together a long time? Their youth is behind them. They have raised their children. Is it possible to help them reconnect with one another?
Absolutely. They have a second chance on their love life.
And
once the kids are gone.
Yes, exactly.
Of course.
So how do you help them with that?
Well, you know, when people are getting more mature and they have more consideration for one another, that's one thing. They have more information and more experience. They're less selfish. It's important to recognize that they may need some medical help.
Right.
Okay? Because, let's say, the testosterone level is not the same.
Right.
And even women need testosterone. Maybe 10% of what a man needs, but they need some testosterone. If there's zero testosterone, they'll have no sex drive.
Well, in a well-balanced wellness program, if you will, you can talk about these issues with your physician as well, right? You can say, look, I want to be sure that I'm safe.
And you want to take a few blood tests, like your testosterone and your free testosterone. The free testosterone is the one that's not bound to proteins. As we get older, more and more is bound to proteins and is not effective.
Right. I want to make sure people get this. Dr. Pelez has a book, The Potency Miracle, and this is really a fascinating subject, Doctor. Here is the book, and here is the website, www.drpelez.com, P-E-L-E-S, drpeles.com. And you can see the title there, The Potency Miracle. It's time for a short break. When we come back, we will continue our discussion of love and relationships for seniors. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power wants to give you up to 7 free shade trees just for completing a workshop, either online or in your neighborhood. The Trees for a Green LA program offers LADWP residents over 40 different varieties of free shade trees. Trees benefit the environment, save energy, and add beauty. Get your trees by participating in an online workshop by logging on to ladwp.com/trees or call 1-800-GREEN-LA.
California is earthquake country. We're all in this together.
Welcome back to Aging in LA. Our topic today is love and relationships among seniors. And our guest is Dr. Pelez, a physician specializing in geriatric psychiatry. Dr. Pelez, we talk probably too much about the problems for a good, healthy sex life. Share with us some of the solutions that you have found to be effective among seniors.
Yeah. Well, I feel especially after the kids are out of the house, people have a second chance at their love life. And as you know, we never learned anything about sex at home or in school. It's more trial and error. So in my book, I put together experience over 20 years of how to connect between two people. And that has nothing to do with hormones or medication or injections. On the other hand, our hormones decline. So we may need some additional hormones. As far as the medication, actually they came after the injection. And the injection is an injection of prostaglandin, which is a natural substance that you and I have in our system, but it diminishes with age. So we need a little extra.
Is this a regular kind of injection?
Well, it's an injection that is done with a very fine needle. The bulk of it is much worse than the bite.
I see.
It does go into the penis, but it doesn't go into the head or into the testicles, and it hurts much less than Botox injections.
I see.
So it's just a question of getting over the fear. And why is it so good? Because the substance itself is good for your blood pressure, it's good for your immune system, it's good for many functions of the body besides the sexual function. The medications that are out there today, Viagra or Cialis, you know, some people went blind on Viagra, some people went deaf on Viagra, very few, but older people who were diabetics.
I see.
And when it comes to mature adults, Viagra maybe works for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So by the time the average Joe is finished, again, the average Jane doesn't even get started.
Right, I understand.
So it's not working. So not only it has side effects that we don't know what will happen with 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, but it doesn't work. When it comes to prostaglandin or alprostadil, which is also approved by the FDA, it works much better. It works, remember we mentioned the fast ejaculators. It slows down your ejaculation, and you can last for much longer period of time, for an hour or two, or whatever you and your partner desire. So that is a much better solution and a much more satisfying solution for older people. And they don't need, let's say, like with Viagra, they may need sometimes maybe an electrocardiogram or a medical checkup. This is a much healthier solution, and it works better. And I remember once there was a lawyer who talked to the BBC, but he said, I'll show everything you want about this under one condition. I do not want this video to be shown in Los Angeles. I do not need the competition.
I well understand.
And it's still a secret to a large extent.
But you know, so much of a satisfying sexual experience is tactile, and it is what's in our mind.
Absolutely.
And people,
our brain is our most important sex organ.
Exactly, but
no
many people
are
are a little embarrassed that the skin is not as taut as it used to be.
So they should drink more.
Drink
they should be aware that as we get older, our skin become less sensitive, and we need more touching, not less touching, and more hugging, not less hugging.
So this is one of those, just charge right in there.
Go for it.
Don't keep giving yourself excuses. Well, it is the truth that seniors today are much more assertive and much more aggressive, and they expect more out of life. And it's obviously true. They can reasonably expect more out of their sex life, out of intimacy.
And absolutely, it's very important that the women are assertive and that they tell the men what they want.
Right.
Or a smart man will ask them what they want. That's also one of the principles of Tantra Yoga. You want to know what your partner wants and needs, and do it. Don't become a macho man and say, I know everything.
Do it.
Do it.
Now, you know, young people connect with each other on the internet through sites such as MySpace or Facebook. And now there are opportunities for baby boomers and other seniors cropping up in cyberspace. One such site is Resume, where you can discover issues about entertainment, health, lifestyles, and relationships. Let's take a look.
It's a generation that's the wealthiest in history. A generation that's redefined individual freedom. A generation redefining aging. We're talking about the baby boomer generation. And there's a new term for boomers, resumers. Welcome to Resume, Boomers Redefining Life. It's a new lifestyle destination website created for boomers by boomers. Resume.com has assembled top experts on topics that matter to boomers. So if you want to learn how to add years to your life, look better, or master the latest technology, stay here. But first, what drove visionaries to start Resume.com?
When I turned 50, I got my first mailer from AARP. We call it Getting ARPed. And it made me feel older than I was and didn't quite have one foot in the nursing home yet. And I told my wife, I said, you know, there's got to be a fun, entertaining alternative to what AARP is offering. At Resume.com, we're about addressing what we call the ageless generation. This is baby boomer generation that's just refusing to grow old. And we even jokingly say we're not our kids' MySpace and we're not our parents' AARP. We're the fun new alternative for this generation. At Resume.com, you'll find information about health and wellness, travel, finance, how to deal with aging parents. We have our city sites where you get local information. We also have our share sites where you can stay connected with family and friends.
A lot of people like to call this generation boomers. We like to call ourselves resumers. We see ourselves in the center of life, and we believe that the best is yet to come. What sets apart resumers from boomers today is really goes back to the focus over the last 20 years. We've been focused on careers. Today I see us more focused on personal satisfaction. It still may deal with careers and basically starting over. There's a clean slate where there's no limits today for us.
Wow, good information. How about that? An internet that's senior friendly.
Great.
I like that. Now, Dr. Pelez, we were talking about some of the solutions to the sexual tensions, and let's talk about a long-term relationship, about the need for variety.
There is a quotation in my book that says, the only known aphrodisiac is variety.
Huh?
Now, most people would think, well, it means variety of partners.
Of partners, but that's not
But
what
that's
you're
not
talking.
what I mean.
Ah.
What I mean is there are so many ways within one relationship to have several different places, different senses, different ways of making love. And again, like anything else, they have to be studied and played with. And if you can laugh about it, you have the way there.
Right, and you don't have to lose the joy in the planning of the thing. This is not like...
No, the planning is like any other planning.
Yeah.
It's something that you look forward to, away from the stress. Put some time aside just for that, and you will live longer and better.
Right. Well, that's very good advice. Now, I want to remind people the Potency Miracle, Dr. Pelez's book, which you can reach at the website, which is www.drpelez.com. And this has really been a fascinating topic. And, you know, I'm glad we're talking about it because I think people need to be much more open about their sexuality. Unfortunately, it looks like our time is up for today's edition of Aging in LA.
It's been fun.
I know. Thanks so much to our guest, Dr. Yuri Pelez, founder of the Beverly Hills Center for Sexual Medicine. Thanks for joining us. And now it's time for a new feature on Aging in LA, Senior Stat Shots, where we look at statistics that pertain to senior citizens. Today, let's share a few stats about our topic, aging and sex, according to the study in the New England Journal of Medicine that we quoted earlier. Among seniors, the prevalence of sexual activity declined with age. 73% among respondents who were 57 to 64 years of age, 53% among those who were 65 to 74 years of age, and 26% of adults 75 to 85 years of age engaged in sexual activity. Now, another statistic shows a significant gender difference in senior sexuality. 78% of men ages 75 to 85 have a spouse or other intimate relationship, but only 40% of women that age do. A consequence of the age disparity of relationships coupled with women's greater longevity, you see? And that's today's Senior Stat Shot. The Los Angeles Department of Aging produces this program with CityView, Channel 35, so that seniors living in Los Angeles and surrounding communities are well informed on the many issues that face them in everyday life. And also to let you know of the many services that the Department of Aging offers our senior citizens. Now, we'd like to hear from you with comments on the program, what you like, what you think can be improved, and your ideas for future programs. Please give us a call. The number's right there on your screen, 213-252-4088. That's 213-252-4088. Call us with your comments and ideas. We look forward to hearing from you. I'm Paul Peterson for the Los Angeles Department of Aging, the people here at CityView, Channel 35, and all of our guests on Aging in LA. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.